Hi friends, welcome to WebChamp. In this video, I'm going to discuss how to start with the Python programming and how to run the Python codes. And after that, I will discuss what is a variable in Python. So let's start. Okay, so before starting with the Python programming, so you must have something called text editor. So any kind of text editor, even you can use the notepad also to write the Python code. That is even fine. Anywhere you can write the Python code in any type of text editor. Okay. The requirement is that whenever you save that file, okay, so that file should be saved like this name.py. Whatever will be the file name, you have to say file name .py. So .py is a extension of Python file. And if you save this file, save the Python codes with .py file, then and then only your codes will be executed. Otherwise, your system will not be able to recognize that this is what the Python code. So that's why it is required to have the .py extension. So let's say here I have created one file, and if you look here, the type of file is Python file, right? And in this tutorial, I am going to use the text editor called Visual Studio Code. So there is one text editor called VS Code. So you can use any type of text editor. If you want to use Sublime, you can use, okay, anything would be fine. So now how to start with the Python programming? So here, once you open the file in that text editor, you can write the Python code. But what to write first and how to run the file is something that we have to see. Okay. So Python programming has some built-in functions. You can use that functions directly. Okay. So here I'm going to use one function named as a print. If you use this function, okay, so this function will print the output on console. So whenever you have to see the output of your Python program, you need to use the print function. And here in the form of text, you have to pass the data, or you can pass the even any type of data. It's not like the text and all, but yes, if you want to write something in the text format, if you want to write some messages, so you will be using the double quotation and then write. Okay, so here I will write hello learners. I will say welcome to WebChamp. Okay. And this is what I would like to see. So now we have written everything inside this print function. Now it's time to save the file. Once you are done with writing your code, before running the code, before executing the Python files, you need to save that. Until and unless you save, just this output will not be printed on your screen. So now how to run the Python file? Okay, there are two ways to run the Python file. Even there are more, but we will see two ways. One is that you can run this code by opening the command prompt where your Python file is saved for that folder. And even there is a in Sublime, sorry, in even Sublime also, in even VS Code also. So we have run option. So if you click here, run Python file. Okay. So here we have option to run. If I run this, so you will be able to see the output here. Right? And this is how it's going to work. Here, whatever we have written here, that will be printed on my console. So this is what the terminal. Terminal is nothing but a command prompt that is configured with VS Code. Now let's say if you don't want to run this file from here. So there is another way. What you can do, you can go to the folder where your file is saved, where your .py file is saved, and just click on the folder path, type the cmd and hit the enter button. It will open command prompt with that folder path. And here you can say Python. Okay, Python is an even identifier. So you are calling Python, you are telling to the system that this is a Python file. And again, you have to specify variable .py. Okay. Case sensitive. Case sensitivity is not matter here. If I hit the enter button, you will be able to see the output. Hello learners, welcome to Webcam. This is what we have written. Either you can use Python complete, or there is a shortcut for the Python. If you say py, so still your system will be able to identify you are calling a Python. Okay, and oh my bad. So it's variable.py, it's variables.py. If file name is incorrect, you will see this kind of error that no such file or directory. Okay, so if your file name should be proper, and if I hit the enter button, you will be able to see the output with the help of py, also with the help of Python also. And if you want to clear the screen, you can use cls command to clear screen. Okay, this is the way to print the output. This is the way to execute the Python code. So now this is just about how to start the Python programming. But our interest is to what is a variable in Python. Okay, not in Python only, but yes, any kind of programming language, any programming language. If you use Java, if you use a .NET, if you use PHP, or maybe a Scala. So each and every type of programming language has concept called variable. And this is where you have to start the learning of programming. If you don't know variable, you will not be able to work with any of the language. So it is always required to have the knowledge how the variables work in any of the programming language. So let's understand first what is variable. So variables is a named reference to a value or in an object in a memory. Okay, so let's keep this aside as an object in a memory. Just consider named reference to a value. Even we have used this in our childhood, but we don't remember. You have to correlate these things, and then you will be easily able to understand what this means. Then variable allows you to store and manipulate the data in program. Okay, let's see how to create the variable. Even you have gone through the mathematics, and we have solved some kind of expressions like this: x is equal to 10. On next line, if someone says x is equal, y is equal to 20. On next line, if someone gives you the question like x plus y is equal to x plus y is equal to what? So what is the value of z? So obviously, everyone can say that x is 10 plus y is 20 is equal to 30. Right? And on the basis, the way you have used, what you have used in mathematics. So here you used a named reference to the value called 10. Right? And that reference you used here in the further calculation, right, in your mathematics. Same thing is happening here in the case of programming with variables. So similarly, variables are a named reference. So in case of Python, what you need to do is you need to simply type the name. Any name would be fine to give the named reference. And by using is equal to sign is equal to operator, you have to assign the value to your variable. So if I say 10, okay, the way we were doing in mathematics, I will do same here. Okay, fine. So what I did is I assigned a value obtained to the variable x, and this is what the variable actually in Python, right? We are giving reference of x to the value 10. So whenever we will use x, so Python will consider 10, right? The way we have considered here x as a 10, right? In case of our mathematics. So here I will say y is equal to 20. On next line, I will say z is equal to x plus y. You don't have to do the calculation. No worries. Python will do the calculation for you now. And here, everything is like our mathematics. And if I run this, you will be able to see the output here as a 30. Right? So here, output is 30. So this is how variables work. See how it is used. Even this is a very simple concept and starting point of any of the programming language. It may differ how variables are created in programming languages, but the concept behind this is to give the reference, give the named reference to the value is nothing but variable. Okay, so I will say variables are named reference to the values, right? To the values in any of the programming language. Now, we got the point. We have to store the values in variables, and we can use that variables any number of times. Any number of times. It's not like that once you use, we will lose that. No. You can write in, you can use this any number of times. If I say w is equal to y minus z, okay. On next line, if I use, sorry, not z, yeah, we can use z minus x or z minus y also, it is fine. Okay, so here again you are doing the assignment. Here you are not directly using the values, but after performing the calculation there will be some value and you are storing the value in the z, and again that value, meaning the named reference of x plus y output is here, right? We are using that z here to print. Similarly, we can use w also. If I say print w, so you will be able to see the print. Okay, so like this we can use variables in programming, and if I run this, you will be able to see that 30 and 10. So now 30 minus 20 is equal to 10 is what something stored in y. But when this will work, meaning when calculation is going to work, whenever you run this file, this will be resolved and 20 will be assigned. 20 will be assigned to, sorry, 30 will be assigned to z. On next line, w will be created and 30 minus 20 will be stored in w, that is equal to 10. But the problem is what? So how this works in computer? How it was working in mathematics? So we were storing these values in our mind first, that x is equal to 10, y is equal to 20. Similarly, it will store these values somewhere in the computer memory. And what kind of memory is that? So that memory is called a RAM. Or sometimes we say that is as a physical memory. Physical memory. So here, when you start execution of program, So this will get resolved. Everything will be resolved. Variables are stored, meaning the program, what Python is going to do, it will assign the value. See, there is a value, meaning it's like we are going to save some data into the RAM. Obviously, it required a size, some size. It can be a very less size, but yes, we need some memory to store these variables into the RAM. And once you store this, it will assign the values to that memory. Internally, it works differently, but no, we need not to worry about that, how the IDs are created and how it is storing. That is fine. So just consider that variables are stored. Whenever we start execution of program, so variables will get stored in the memory, meaning the RAM. Okay, or memory to the variable values is assigned in the RAM. This is how we can consider. Now, here again, we are doing some calculation, right? So here we have one more variable. So what it is going to do, it is going to create another, it is going to assign the new memory to the variable called Z. And then it will perform the calculation here and save that value. Whatever will be the result output will be saved there. In case of W also, same thing is happening. So now here it is going to use the value of Z. Whenever there is a requirement, it will, in Python, will call that respective value from that memory where it is saved. Internally, this, meaning Python will take care for everything. We need not to worry about how it got linked and worked. Everything is taken care. But this is how working. Okay. So all the variables are stored in the physical memory. And if you try to print, it will return that value from that memory address. Okay, there is something called a memory address. Whenever it saves, it assigns one address to these variables. And based on that address, computers are going to execute the programs. Okay, fine. So this is the working of variables. Now, if you are familiar with any other type of programming language, let's say you are familiar with the Java. So in Java, you cannot say like this, say x is equal to 10. Okay. What is the problem? So there you need to specify. In case of Java, in case of .NET, okay, what you need to do, you need to specify. Even in case of VBA also, you need to specify what type of data that variable is going to hold. And if you specify integer is a numerical type data. So there you store the numbers, okay, in that variable. Then and then only you are allowed to store the numbers. But if you define x is equal to, sorry, int x is equal to, meaning integer type of x is equal to, and here you say webcam. This is not going to work in any other programming language. But in case of Python, we need not to worry about the data types. Right? We are simply going to assign the value to the variables. So Python will take care for this. When we start execution of program based on the value assigned to this variable, Python will decide what will be the data type of that variable. So Python will infer the variable types based on the value assigned to it. This is how it's going to work. And that's why, now that is the reason Python is called a dynamically typed programming language. Meaning, you don't need to declare the data type of variable explicitly. You don't have to worry about this. Then there are few rules about the variables while creating the variables. So you can use underscore operator or underscore character, I can say, or A to Z and A to Z characters, okay, meaning the small and capital A to Z characters to start the variable name. You cannot use numbers at the starting of variable name. You should not. You can start variable name with underscore, that is valid. You can start variable names with A to Z letters, that is fine, but you cannot use 1 to 0. Okay. So after the first character, variable names can contain the letters, it can contain digits, and it can contain underscore. That is fine. But at the beginning, you cannot use numbers. That is what the limitation. Variable names are case sensitive. What is mean by case sensitive? So if I say here, this is what my small x, right? On next line, if I say capital X is equal to 100, okay. And here, if I try to print X and capital X, okay. And if I try to run this code, you will see the output, two different outputs here, 10 and 100. So both, meaning Python will treat both these variables are different because of case sensitive. Variables are case sensitive. If you made a little bit changes in your variable names, it will create the new variable with respect to case sensitivity of text, right? So you need to take care about that. Then Python has some keyword that that is reserved, like if, for, else, true, none. So these are the keyword that we cannot use. Okay? We cannot use to variables. We cannot use as a variable names. Okay? So these are the limitations. These are the rules to define the variable name. Now we have seen whenever you have to assign the value to the variables, we can use is equal to operator. When the moment you use is equal to operator, it will assign. It will perform the assignment of on. So whatever will be on left hand side of is equal to operator, that will be considered as an named reference, and whatever will be there on right side of is equal to will be considered as an value. And this is how the assignment happens. So now, how reassignment of variable works? Let's say someone wants to update the value of variable. If I come here, so there is a way. Okay, so we can reassign the value to the same variable. So how to reassign? Let's say I would like to reassign the value to the x variable. I would like to update the value somewhere in my programming after the 100 to 100 lines of code. It is possible. You just have to say x is equal to 100. And now onwards, meaning from this onwards, okay, what Python is going to do, it will consider, meaning in the memory, okay, in the RAM, what it is going to do, it will remove this 10 from the RAM and it will add 100 there, right? And now onwards, meaning from the whenever you define or redefine the variable, reassign the value to that variable, from that onwards, that value of x will be 100, but before that it will be 10. So if I say print x, so here value of x will be 10. Okay, but below of that, the moment you assign or reassign the value of x will be 100, and you will see two outputs now, 10 and 100. Okay, if I run this, you can see that this is what for first. So here what I will do, I will say x okay, even both are x, right? We are doing a reassignment, so no need to go for this. Okay, so just consider that before reassigning the value, whatever will be the original value of that variable will be considered the moment you assign. So this is where, meaning from this line onwards, your program will have the updated value of x, but before that it will use 10. It will use 10. So here if I say x plus y, and here if I say x plus y, x plus y. So you will see the output here 30 and 20. So here x will be considered as a 10. Here x will be considered as a 100. And this is how it's going to work. Even there is a one more way to assign the values. On the same line, you can assign the values to different variable. Like let's say here what we are doing is first we assign the value, this will get resolved. On next instance, this will get resolved. Okay, so Python execution happens one by one. First it will execute this line, then it will execute this line, then it will execute this line, then it will execute this line. Okay, this is how it's going to work. But at the same time, okay, on the same line, if you want to assign the variables in case of Python, you will be able to do that. Okay, how to do? So let's say x comma y is equal to 10 comma 20. So what it is going to do, it is going to assign the values sequentially, the way we have given here reference. In the same way, we can, or it will assign the value to that variables. Okay, so first value will be assigned to the first reference, second value will be assigned to the second reference, and like this it is going to work. So now here, even though if I say, okay, I'm not going to create new variable. Instead of that, what I will do, I will print the output after performing the calculation. Okay, so I will say x plus y is equal to 30. Here also you are able to see the 30. 10 plus 20 is equal to 30. Okay, this is what the assignment, right? This is what the assignment. Even let's say if you want to assign the one value to all variable. So if I say x comma y comma z is equal to 10. And now do not consider this. Okay, even in this way also, if whenever you have to assign the same value to multiple variables, what you can do, you can use this kind of syntax also to assign the value. And now if I run this code, we cannot unpack. Okay, so what we need to do is we can do this, but let's discuss this in the time of tuple. Okay, because there is packing and unpacking concept. Okay, packing and unpacking concept. Okay, so not possible to assign the single value. So if I use like this, okay, it is able to work. Okay, now it is working. So if you write the multiple values like this, so you can write assign the values in this way also, comma separated values, or even you don't need to do that. You can assign the value the way we have earlier seen. Okay, but we cannot assign single value to a variable. That's what we need to, single value to multiple variable. Then how to delete the variables? Okay, let's say here you may want to delete the variable. So there is a del keyword in Python. If I say del z, okay, so what it is going to do is it is going to delete the variable called z. And if I try to use that variable somewhere, okay, in my further programming, that variable will not be available. And here it says name z is not defined. Name z is not defined. Okay, so this is how we can create the variables, we can assign the values, and we can start the Python programming. This is all about the variables in Python. So I hope you like the content of this video. Thank you so much for watching the video. Have a nice day. Please do not forget to subscribe web channel.